Let's study the process of acquiring knowledge. First process is the reality. They said that to know is to know something. And what is this something? This something is what philosophers call reality, existence, being, or universe. They are the same. So all those things, object in this world, in this universe that are existing, they are the reality, existence, being. Sometimes we call existence or reality as universe. So in this case, let us employ the term existence, since existence is the same with reality or being or universe. So existing is really all there is to know. Andyan na raw yan. So lahat ng nakikita mo rito, lahat na nakikita mo rito sa universe, lahat na nag-e-exist dito sa universe, they are reality. They are the so-called existence, being. That's why if nothing exists, knowledge is impossible. That's true. Kung wala nag-e-exist, wala kang aalamin. Wala kang ma-experience na kung ano kasi walang nag-e-exist. Because of existence, because of reality, that's why we are continuously searching for knowledge. Okay, example. Reality includes everything we perceive or everything that can be perceived by our five senses. Animals, plants, human beings, or these are the living beings, or inanimate objects, or living things and non-living things, all that are existing in this world, whether they are living things or non-living things. And everything inside our heads, our thoughts and emotions, which represent our inner world. Look, whether they can be perceived by our five senses or they are part or represent our inner world, they are considered as reality, existence, being, or universe. So again, we are continuously searching for knowledge because there is reality. And this reality are those things that are existing in this universe. Okay, that is the first. Second, perception. Our first and only contact with reality, with those existing in this world, is through our senses. So what are those senses? Sense of seeing, hearing, tasting, feeling, and smelling. These are the five senses. So we can acquire knowledge using our senses. Knowledge begins with perceptual knowledge. And what is this perceptual knowledge? The knowledge that we can acquire through sense of seeing, hearing, tasting, feeling, and smelling. Okay. At first, the senses give us knowledge of things or entities. That's correct. Diba? When you see this table, you know that this is stable because you know its nature. When you see that particular person, you know that person, you know that he is a person because you know the nature of that person. Later, we became aware not only of things, but certain aspects of things like qualities, quantities, actions, or relationships. Look at the example. How do you know that the table is brown? Because you see it, that is quality of the table. If you know the nature of table, you know that particular object or thing, you have the knowledge that it is stable because you know its nature. Now, then you will know the color that it is brown because using your sense of sight or seeing. How do you know that fire is hot? Because you feel it. How do you know that three boys are walking? So three, quantity. Because using your sense of sight, you see that there are 1, 2, 3 boys who are walking. And what they are doing? Action. They are walking. So because of the sense of sight. Now, they said that the qualities, the quantities, actions, relationships, or these categories cannot be separated with this particular object or with the object to which they are inherited. For example, you cannot separate brown from brown table. It's brown table. You cannot separate the action walk if you see the persons are walking because it inherits from the object. So that is this category. So That is what we call perception. The third one is concept. After we perceive things using our five senses, we began to notice that some of the things we perceive are similar to other things. If this is the case, this is the process of, or this process is called a concept, which means an abstract or generic idea generalized from particular instances. For example, from Rome, Shem, and Roma, they are all persons, name of persons. We can form the concept of man. Then, from man, dog, and cat, we can form a higher and wider concept of animal. So, what have you noticed? We group this object according to their similarities. For example, Rome, Shem, and Roma, they have the same similarities of being human. They have two hands, they have 2 feet, they have hand, they have physical body. So that's why we group them as one because they have similar things in common, and we call them man, the concept of man. Then, from man, dog, and cat, we group them for having what similar or common thing in them. And what are those? Both of them have senses. They have this sense of touch, feeling, smell, hear, and sense of sight. So we can form a higher and wider concept, and we call them as animal. And from animal and plant, example, we can form a still higher and wider concept, living organism. Both plant and animal can be called as living organism. So what have you noticed? As we go up to this progressive widening is the process. Our knowledge increases. The more daw na pinapalawak mo ang konsepto sa grupo ng mga object, for example, yung man, dog, and cat, we form a concept of animal. So we can form also a concept for dog and cat for having similar things. They are four-legged animals. So we will separate man, di ba? So that's another concept. So as we go up to this progressive widenings, our knowledge increases. That is concept. Another example. Look. For example, man is a first level concept that we can subdivide according to profession. This time, subdividing or narrowing. So, from the concept of man, we can divide it into some other subdivision. For example, man can be divided according to profession. So, we can come up with doctor, entertainer, fireman, teacher. So, we give 4 concepts out of the concept of man according to profession or race. Man can be Asian, Caucasian, or black, or gender. Man can be man, woman, lesbian, gay, or nationality. Man can be a Filipino, a Chinese, or French. So as we go down this progressive narrowing from general concept to specific, di ba? Our knowledge of things subsumed under a concept of increase. Okay, next is proposition. So what is proposition? When we use concepts in order to classify or describe an existent, we use what philosophers call a proposition. Proposition is usually expressed in declarative statement that expresses either an assertion or a denial. If it's an assertion, it is an affirmative proposition. If it's denial, it's a negative proposition that an existent belongs to a class or possesses certain attribute. Okay, look at the example. Example, when I say men are mortals, so since proposition is a sentence, it has a subject. In logic, it has a subject, then it has a predicate, and the verb or linking verb we call this copula. So it is a declarative sentence. When we say Men are mortals. Ang mga tao ay may kamatayan o namamatay. So, we can make an assertion of men which is affirmative in nature. Thus, this statement, this example of a proposition is affirmative proposition. But when I say, or when we say, men are not mortals, having a negative word not, we make an opposite claim that denies something about men. Thus, the statement is negative proposition. So, the first one, it gives assertion. The second one, the second example, it gives denial. So, we make an opposite claim. We deny something about men. Here, we affirm, we assert something about men. So, that is what we call proposition. Proposition is a declarative statement that expresses either an assertion or denial that an existent belongs to a class or possess certain attributes. The last one under the process of acquiring knowledge is through inference. What is inference? In order to demonstrate that the statement is true, we provide an inference. Sometimes inference, they call it as argument. So it is a group of statements, one or more of which are claimed to provide support for, and that is what we call premises, or reason to believe one of the others, and we call it as conclusion. Okay, look at this example. Okay, all men are mortals. First premise. Aristotle is a man. Second premise. Therefore, Aristotle is mortal. So, all of these group of propositions or group of statements, we call it as inference or argument. Here we have three related statements. All men are mortals. Aristotle is a man. Therefore, Aristotle is mortal. We have three related statements or propositions. The last statement, beginning with the word therefore, is what we call conclusion. A conclusion is a statement that we want to prove. So, this is our conclusion. This is a statement that we want to prove. We want to prove that Aristotle is mortal. And what is our evidence? What is our supporting evidence? So the first two statements, all men are mortals, then Aristotle is a man, are what we call premises. A premise provides justification, evidence, and proof to the conclusion. Look, why do we say that Aristotle is mortal? Because from the first premise or proposition, it says that all men are mortals. Then, Aristotle is a man, second proposition. So, if all men are mortals and Aristotle is a man, so he belongs to all men that are mortals. Therefore, Aristotle is mortal. So, these two propositions supported the conclusion that Aristotle is mortal.